Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is our latest installment of the Movie Nerds Club. And today I'm sharing my top 5 favorite horror films of the 2010s. The Movie Nerds Club is a monthly collaborative series in which several of us FilmTube YouTubers who come on to give our top 5 lists for a new prompt every month. And since it's October, what else could the category be other than horror? Now, before I get into my actual list and even get into my honorable mentions, I just want to clarify there were several films I did not include when coming up with this list. Specifically, Black Swan and The Lighthouse. Both are categorized as horror, but I view them more as drama with kind of horror or gross elements to them. I don't really see them as horror myself, so I didn't include them here. If they were, Black Swan would have definitely made it onto my top 5, and The Lighthouse probably would have made honorable mentions. But wow, the 2010s were certainly a renaissance era for the horror genre. We got so many great scary movies this decade that narrowing this down even to 5 or even 5 plus some honorable mentions was dang near impossible for me. I'm just gonna rattle off some honorable mentions because there were so many that I wanted to include and just didn't have the space for. Evil Dead did such an amazing job at recreating a classic, and I think goes far overlooked. Us proved that Jordan Peele was no one-hit wonder with yet another mind-bending horror adventure. The Babadook created a gay icon, all while showing the true terrors from down under. Green Room shows A24 diving into the slasher arena with one of the studio's most overlooked horror films to date. The Quiet Place literally took our breath away as we watched along in silent anticipation with every step and move. Midsummer showed that Ari Aster was not just a one-hit wonder, with his beautiful revenge story on a toxic relationship that had me completely entranced. Finally, it pains me not to include this on my top 5, but my last honorable mention is kind of only by technicality, and that is Cabin in the Woods. So while yes, this film is a horror film, and it is able to accomplish what so many other films have tried, in that it effectively lampoons and parodies the slasher genre, while also creating a really fun slasher horror film. However, it's not scary, and and I do think overall the satire rings more true than the horror part of this film, and ultimately that's what kept it from making my final 5. Now, kicking us off with our actual countdown, at number 5, I have It Chapter 1. Now, I have to admit, this film almost dropped out of the top 5 based on the sequel. Yes, the sequel dragged this one down just a little bit for me. Thankfully, I knew what to expect when it came to that sequel. The story just doesn't hold up, no matter how you film it, I think. But this first film is such a wonderful story. It's a really well done coming of age story of these young kids growing up, becoming friends, and coming into their own, as well as facing their fears. All set in this wonderful horror backdrop. Pennywise is just as terrifying as ever with a stellar performance from Bill Skarsgård, but the film itself never quite loses that fun little bit of edge that the original miniseries had. There are some really scary moments, some really inventive imagery going on, and it delivered so much more than I could have hoped or expected out of another It film. That's why I had to make room for It Chapter 1 on my list. Coming in at number 4, I have The Witch. One of the most divisive horror films of the past decade is one that I personally happen to adore. Anya Taylor-Joy leads a fantastic cast in this really ominous, creepy period horror. And a lot of people were upset that we don't have a lot of horror moments in your face throughout the film, because we start off with a bang. I mean, anytime a baby is involved in your first horror sequence of the film, you know that some messed up stuff is in here. But honestly, it doesn't kick back up into like high octane horror until the very end of the film. This is one meant to really play on your nerves, to really keep you on edge, make you disturbed and uncomfortable as you watch this tension just coats everything on screen. We get some fantastic performances, some really deep thoughts under the layers of the script. And I just think The Witch is just a beautiful film that executes a slow burn horror as well as you can. So coming in at number 3, I have Hereditary. Yes, another A24 horror film on my list, and the debut feature from Ari Aster. And what a debut this film was! Oh my gosh! Much like I said with The Witch, Hereditary is able to create atmosphere right from the onset. As soon as the camera starts rolling, you begin to feel uneasy and things start to just escalate as we move throughout until it gets to this fever pitch of horror insanity that works so well. As we're going along, there are a lot of like terrifying, seared into your brain images to keep horror fans moving as we work our way through this rather crazy plot and story, all beautifully led by an outstanding lead performance from Toni Collette. Hereditary gives you those big horror moments that you crave. And not to mention, Ari Aster showed he was a director to watch, because it is a stunning film, beautifully shot and wonderfully scored. It's pretty much perfectly executed. Hereditary, yeah. Coming in at number 2, my personal runner-up is Get Out. Now, I would argue Get Out was the best crafted horror film of the 2010s. It's the actual best movie I have here on my list. However, as an actual horror fanatic, it doesn't deliver the big horror moments. It's rather a horrifying mirror being held up to us as a society, which in every regard actually is much scarier than any other horror trope to be seen. But Daniel Kaluuya in this breakout performance is absolutely fantastic in this role, as is our entire cast. Everybody comes to play. This idea and concept is truly terrifying, once again, especially when it's put into the context of racial tension. And that script is so tight, with a good blend of humor and fun moments of alleviation mixed in with those more tense moments and then the big horror standouts that come later. Get Out was an instant classic the moment it debuted. It certainly left its mark in film history. Coming in at the number 1 spot, my personal favorite horror film of the 2010s is The Conjuring. This was a film that delivered everything I want in a great horror movie. First, our lead performances are all fantastic. Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are beautiful as the Warrens in this and all subsequent appearances within the Conjuring universe. The cinematography is stunning with this beautiful color palette, amazing editing, and a haunting score that is used in the perfect times and areas to deliver those scares. And James Wan delivered a masterclass in tension. There are so many moments in this film where you are just holding your breath in frightful anticipation of what is to come, and he redirects it so well, and that is what makes for such a fun horror film. The Conjuring delivers the best in jump scares that are effective, that don't feel meaningless, that aren't just throwaways, but actually enhance and deliver the horror experience because they're laid on top of truly scary ideas and images. I absolutely adore The Conjuring. And again, while Get Out might be a better film overall, when it comes to sitting down to watch a scary movie from the 2010s, I'm going to be reaching for The Conjuring. So that is my pick for the top 5 best horror films of the 2010s. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, please do make sure that you check out the videos from my fellow Movie Nerd Club members. I've included the links to the videos and channels for Rachel's Reviews, Mainly Movies, Ren Geekness, and Ryan Cam in the description down below. So please show their videos and channels some love. But before you go, make sure to comment, what are your top 5 favorite horror films of the 2010s? Let me know either in the comments down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!